Hey, so last week we talked about the fundamentals and how important they are. So we're going to really hammer that home today. Today I've got a really good video. I'm honored to have the only female master SFG instructor in the StrongFirst organization, Karen Smith, talk to you about a video on how to really master the fundamental movement of the kettlebell deadlift. Now remember, swings or your kettlebell ballistics are just a bunch of high-speed deadlifts, and so you really need to know how to master and really ingrain this pattern into your system, and Karen does a really great job of teaching you how to do that, so check it out.
Hey everyone, Karen Smith, and this video is about the proper setup for the deadlift. So a lot of times when people are just getting into kettlebells, they want to rush into all the fancy stuff, but really you need to build a solid foundation, and the place that you do that is with starting with a deadlift. So we want to make sure that you know how to hinge properly before you start doing anything ballistic like swings. So the deadlift is a slow grind, and we're going to first do the setup before we load it. So we always pattern a move before we load the move. And the equipment that you need today is a wall, yourself, and I recommend a dowel rod or broomstick, something that you can put on your spine and make sure that you have 3 points of contact that we're talking about in the article, which is your head, your T-spine, and your sacrum. So you're going to be able to feel this setup and then be able to mimic it later after you pattern it. So the important thing is that you put your back and your feet up against the wall, and then normally for most people it's about 1 foot length. So you're going to go 1 foot length and then put your feet about shoulder width distance. So they can be slightly wider, but let's just start at shoulder width for now. Then the key from here is you're going to focus on the hinge. So we're hinging at the hips. The knees are going to bend, but that's as an afterthought. So don't focus on trying to bend the knees too early. Then they'll go forward over your toes versus your shin staying vertical and your knees bending because you're hinging your hips back so far towards the wall. So before we hinge, again, I want to make sure that you have the proper setup. So this is just a quick way to get feedback right off the bat. So you're going to put the dowel rod where it touches your sacrum, your T-spine, and your head, and you're going to hold at the neck and the low back, the 2 natural curves of the body. So you can see where I'm holding those. So now when I hinge, it's going to give me feedback if I round my back, or if I chicken neck my head, or if I try to squat. So I'll show you all of those, but first we're going to focus on the proper setup. So stand tall, inhale through your nose, and hinge to the wall, okay? I'm not trying to rest into the wall. I'm just trying to reach for the wall. So I get a nice good stretch in my hamstrings, and then I exhale and stand back up. So inhale as you hinge, and exhale. Now, if I were to try to squat, you'll see how it comes away from my sacrum. If I round my back, it also is going to come away. Or if I arch too much, it will come away from the T-spine, and then also from the head if I were to try to lift my chin. So again, inhale, hinge, exhale. Okay? So now you have the proper alignment with your T-spine, then you can just practice keeping that. Hinge and drive. Hinge and drive. Once you've had that proper setup and you can keep your spine in neutral, then you can load this with a bell. So the way that we would do that is you could still stay at the wall and put the bell between your feet, or you could come away from the wall now. Key is the bell is set between your feet or slightly behind, like by your ankles. You're going to hinge at the hips, find the bell, load your lats, and drive. When you're loading your hips, you should feel that stretch in your hamstrings and your glutes. So we're not trying to squat, not trying to send our knees forward. We're also not trying to do a straight leg and then round the back to reach the bell. One more key point. If you cannot reach your bell when you're hinging, if you do not have that flexibility in your hamstrings, then you would raise the bell. So just put it on an elevation. It can be on a plate. It can be on a step. Really, whatever your height is, just raise it, and then you can hinge. Hope that helps.